So just to say that today we're going to be doing a little bit of editorializing as the presentation's going on. If there's places that we just want to talk about facilitation, which obviously wouldn't be said in front of students. If you've got questions and comments, and we hope that you will, just hang on to them until the end, make a note of them, and we'll just save some time at the end for your input. It's certainly a work in progress, and every time we do it, it evolves a little bit more. We tweak it a little bit more, and we're excited to have your feedback and your input on it. So thank you for being here for that. All right, so why voting matters. So we're going to start with a graphic that you're probably not going to be able to see very well, but is countries, youth voter participation in 24 countries. That was that in 2020. And I don't know if you can see very well, but the orange bar is the United States. And so they were the 5th lowest youth voter participation. By that, they mean 18 to 24-year-olds. And that's 46%. The highest is Sweden with 86%. So we'll start off with the students with this graphic and ask them the question, what's going on? Why don't more young people vote in the United States? Because really at the heart of this, the more talking they do and the less talking we do, the better. This is really about participation and student engagement. So let me open it up to you. Kind of either put yourself in the shoes of a young person or talk about what you think a response to this would be. Why do you think that so few young people in the United States vote? Just open it up. Yep.
Because their vote doesn't count.
So they're sensing that it doesn't count. Does it make an impact on the overall picture of things? Is that what you mean by it doesn't count?
Well, that's the thinking of a young person.
Mm-hmm,
That's the response I got.
Okay, yeah. And I think it's important to push and just get clarity of what people are saying. Good, thanks. I think you're right. I think absolutely that's what they're going to say. What else? Yeah.
They don't see their parents vote.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if they would be aware of that as a reason why young people don't vote. It does have an impact, I'm sure. You're right. Good. Yeah.
I don't know how to register or where to vote or what the process.
Just logistical obstacles, right? Good, yeah.
Can't do it on my phone.
Right. Yes, right. What is the new inconvenience? It's I can't do it on a screen. Yeah.
Maybe there is some immigrant family and maybe a dreamer or can't register to vote or for some reason
Mm-hmm.
is legally not able.
Or doesn't know if they're legally able to vote, so they don't even go for it. Yeah, great. And I would suggest, by the way, I don't know your names, and I'm sorry about that. You always want to have the kids have name tents in front of them with their first name really big and bold, so you can use names. It really makes an enormous impact. You know that if you've been in the teaching world. So the next graphic is reasons why people don't vote. And again, it would be so nice if you could see this. But I will just say that I'll read to you. So here's what the top answers are. No matter who wins, nothing will change for people like me. I didn't like any of the candidates. The system is too broken to be fixed by voting. All the candidates are the same. I wanted to vote, but something came up. I don't believe in voting. Because of where I live, my vote doesn't matter. Nobody talks about the issues that are important to me. I'm not sure if I can vote. And that was not just for 18 to 24-year-olds. That's just generally why people don't vote. So what I would ask students at that point is to say, and again, they will have this up in front of them, what are you seeing as sort of the themes around a number of these? Not the ones about something came up for me or I wasn't sure I could vote, not the logistic problems, but all the other ones. Do you see any kind of themes or patterns between those reasons? Powerlessness, meaning my vote doesn't matter, won't.
We can't change the system.
Right, my vote won't matter. Anything else?
Not meaningful.
Not meaningful to them as a voter. Great. So I think those are exactly the buckets that I see there, is that my vote doesn't matter and it doesn't really voting doesn't affect my life. And so the essential questions for this are exactly those two questions. Can voting affect your life? Does voting affect your life? And does your vote matter? And so that's the whole point of that setup, is to get them to see the essential questions really are getting at the heart of why a lot of people don't vote. So from here, we're going to now do something to hopefully create a sense that issues do affect you in a direct sort of way. And so we have a debate that you're going to be involved in now on an issue that we think greatly impacts you and greatly impacts people your age, which is how old do you have to be to vote? So if you're 18, 2 years ago you couldn't have voted, now you can. You know 16-year-olds. You may have younger brothers and sisters that are 16 years old. You probably know 16-year-olds better than anybody. 2 years ago you were there. So the question is, should 16-year-olds be able to vote? And that's the issue we want you to explore today, to get a sense of whether this is something that really feels impactful, and whether the issues that are involved there seem like something that you really care about. So to do this, we're going to have you do a 12-minute debate total. It's like a mini debate. We're going to give you some time to prep, but first we'll just talk you through the steps. This is real basic debate 101. Many of the students have been involved in debates in classes or been on a debate team. Each side gets an opening for 2 minutes. Then there's, and so we're saying pro, con, meaning pro supporting the proposition, con not supporting the proposition. Each side then gets a 1-minute rebuttal. At that point, the audience, so what's going to happen is that most likely there's going to be a large class, and some people will participate in the debate, some people may not. There may be 2 debates, so that there's 2 different issues being prepared, and so the folks who aren't going then are the audience for that debate. But we assume that there's an audience somehow, and you have to sort of play it out and see what the numbers are. But assuming that there is, there would be an opportunity for each side to take questions from the audience members about their positions, and then the last thing would be a closing statement, closing argument. The pro gets the first word and the last word, kind of like the prosecution in an opening and closing statement. So that's the format. Any questions? Okay. Nope, we don't need to go there yet. So what we'll do now is give the students 10 minutes to prepare. Optimally, they have prepared already. So many teachers want the opportunity to get the materials in advance, take a class period, have the students get ready, assign sides. The more of that can happen in advance, the better it is for us. If kids come in not only knowing what side they're on, but even what role they're taking in it, then they just sit down and they start working. You can imagine how much time it chews up for kids, like fighting over who's going to do the opening, who's going to do the closing. I don't want to be on that side, you know, all that. So we want at least that the sides have been chosen in advance, but optimally, they've actually got the materials, they've prepared, they're ready to come in and go. That certainly saves time. So we're going to give you 10 minutes to prepare it. I'd say that if the teacher did not have his class prepare, somewhere in 10 to 15 minutes is about what students need to get this ready. And so that would be built in to the presentation. So we're going to distribute these materials. Why don't we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe if you 2 folks in the back can join these folks. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right. And why don't we make these folks the pro? So in other words, go back to you believe it should be lowered to 16. You folks are the con. You believe it should not be lowered to 16. So what you're going to need to do, since you haven't had the chance to figure out who's doing what, is first of all, figure out what there's 4 kind of talking parts here, right? So sometimes what happens when there's a number of kids, they share some of these, so they just get more kids involved. But why don't we say for our purposes today, you just want these 4 roles to be taken on by people on your side, and then you've got, let's say, 10 minutes to look at the fact sheet that we're giving you. And this is from something called procon.org. procon.org. It is a wonderful resource for debate prep. And a lot of high school social studies teachers, I know when I was teaching history, that was like a major resource for us. So 10 minutes to prepare. It's tough, the seating is not great, so you're gonna figure out a way to talk to each other, maybe sitting in 2 rows, like some folks facing the back and the other folks facing the front. We always wanna be in a class where you've got seats that move and kids can group and cluster so they can talk with each other. Okay, so at the end of 10 minutes, we're gonna have people, I guess, come up here for the purposes of the camera. We need you to kind of stand and do the
Here,
debating.
and talk in front of the mic and speak into the mic.
Oh, so who's ever, right,
Okay,
okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's see how we're doing at the end of 10 minutes. Again, most schools, the kids will have come in farther along than you are now. So let's see where you're at 10 minutes, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, so the first is the pro side's opening. You have 2 minutes.
This is the pro side,
Yep.
the opener.
Who's the opener?
Well, that you have to take, you have up to 2 minutes. If you have 30 seconds, then it's compelling, that's
The kids
good.
never have 2
Right.
minutes. That's a long time.
Right,
That's a really long time.
okay.
So we take the position that the voting age should be lowered to 16. Given the recent history of all the school shootings we're seeing, we think that young people should have more of a voice in laws that affect them. Studies have shown that other countries many other democracies have lowered their voting age to 16. And even in our country, the voting age has not always been 18. It's been lowered from 21 to 18 during the Vietnam War, when so many people were under threat of being drafted. And now, as we're seeing more and more events around us, like the school shootings, like climate change, affect people of our age, we think the voting age should be changed to 16. Some people think that young people are not capable or have the cognitive skills to vote at the age of 16, but studies show that in fact we vote just as carefully as older people, and we can make very well thought out decisions when we're given the responsibility. Also, if we become voters at this age, we will be lifelong voters and affect our communities and our even parents that might not vote. So we want it to lower the voting age.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's,
Thank you.
who's doing the opening on this side?
All right.
Hi, I'm Joe. And we are against this. The voting age should not be lowered to 16. Our first point is that kids under the age of 18 are just not mature enough to participate in elections. Experts say that they don't have an interest in politics, they have less political knowledge, and they lack a lot of experience to participate in elections. They're already recognized as being non-adults in our society. They have different labor, contract, and criminal responsibilities laws. They aren't allowed to join the military without parental consent. They can't serve on juries. And social scientists say that they wouldn't be competent voters because their brains have not finished maturing. Second of all, they have always had extremely low voter turnout numbers, suggesting that they're not interested and that they're just not mature enough or ready to vote until later in life. Only 23% of students scored at or above the proficient level on the last National Assessment of Educational Progress Test of Civics Knowledge and Skills, so they're not engaged enough to have any civics understanding. Finally, the vast majority of them, of Americans of all ages, agree that 16-year-olds should not be given the right to vote. So if they were given the right to vote, this would go against the interests of most more mature voters. That's it.
I didn't even get a chance to hold some.
Great, no, good job. Who's going to be doing the rebuttal? Harvey. 1 minute.
Okay, well, I'm not sure I would want to be on the side restricting voting rights, frankly. The age of 16 in many other venues is where people's relationship with the government changes. They can begin working, they can start paying taxes, They can start driving in certain municipalities. And in terms of knowledge of current events, recent measures shown that they score as well or better than adults. I mean, while you're at it, why don't you say if you're over 80, you can't vote because you're probably beginning to lose it.
Thank you.
That might be a mic drop moment. Okay, good. Who's doing the rebuttal on this side?
Just because you have knowledge of current events doesn't necessarily mean that your brain has been matured enough to judge whether these events need a certain law. I would right up front question that. And also, the recent shootings, which the students obviously are aware of, the problem with that is that many times the shootings are other students shooting them. I see that allowing a 16-year-old to vote at this point in our country, I don't care what they're doing in other countries, I don't think it's possible for us to have change the law. The students, no proof that it leads to a lifelong voting record, since we haven't, as far as I know, done any research on something like that. My 30 seconds.
Well, you got 4 more. Go.
Wait, I got one.
Very good, very good.
Thanks.
Okay,
Oop.
questions?
Right, so
Does anybody have a question?
the pro side now is taking questions from you folks.
Right.
So for the students, from the students' perspective, it's just, they haven't thought about this issue probably ever before. So any questions that they would have, just to help them unpack the issue a little bit and understand what the arguments are on this side. So it's less about arguments and rebutting arguments, and it's more just trying to understand where the arguments are coming from on this side. So anything that you want to ask of this side in a non-combative way. Yep.
So what makes you think that these kids won't vote the same way that their parents vote, and it'll just be an extra vote of an adult parent?
So, again, if you have usually we have one designated question answerer. I don't know if you guys came up with that.
Yeah,
So they did. Okay.
Teenagers today are very, very independent from their parents. We're more engaged with social media, public events, discussions in school. We do not see eye to eye with our parents on many things. Though we may respect them, we have our own opinions.
We just want to do one question on each side in the interest of time. Okay.
I think you get it.
Okay. So now one question coming from this side to.
Oh, sorry, to that. You have a
Right.
question for this side?
And you have a designated answerer? No. So whoever feels like it.
Do you have?
Yeah.
My question to the other side is, you mentioned at 16 they have no interest in civics. Wouldn't allowing them to vote encourage their depth of knowledge, experience, and understanding of civics?
Would like to take a crack at that.
I think they're so busy on TikTok that that's all they're following. So whatever they see on TikTok is probably what's going to influence them the most.
Sure. Yeah.
Most of our schools today don't have civics class. Okay. Well, that's the rebuttal. That's the rebuttal. So kids are not really prepared as high school students to know the issues, to know the process, and to vote. Maybe after civics classes are instituted and run the way they should be run, then maybe the 16-year-old vote, maybe the limit could be changed.
All right. Thank you.
So now, hearing,
Final 1 minute.
right, final 1 minute, hearing
So
what,
con side first.
oh, sorry, con side first.
Yep. Who's the con? Who's the
Yeah.
closing?
So we're against it, and
the children have no adult responsibilities, and we're putting this big responsibility on them now. I mean, yes, some of them may go to work, but one of the big things is their brains are not mature enough. And those states that have had younger ages voting, they have a low turnout. So it suggests that there's no interest, and they're not engaged in civics. And until that happens and schools put in civics, then we don't feel that they should be able to vote.
Oh, Jeanette, sorry.
Yep, conclude.
Can you hear me? Okay. To conclude, we realize that 16-year-olds need to have the right to vote in order to create a triple-up effect with their parents, increase voter turnout nationally, demonstrate civic knowledge, political skills, political efficacy, tolerance, and have their interests represented. Therefore, they will be lifelong voters.
Well done. Okay, so now we can vote.
All right, so that's it.
Yes, can I have these
Yeah,
back?
so let's collect these back up.
Oh, that's,
Names.
yep, no problem. Oh, you wrote all over yours? That's all right, I'll take it. Yeah. These
Donna, let me
we
take
use.
the mic back. Oh, actually, I don't need this mic, do I?
Oh, that's all right.
Do you still need it? I don't think so, no. Thanks. I'll take it away. Thank you. Okay, so that's a total of 12 minutes. There's a lot packed into 12 minutes. That wasn't even a full 12 for you guys. So there's a lot of bang for the buck from that. So where we would go from there is to then get a vote. And I think for the kids usually, again, they haven't thought about this issue, so they're pretty much kind of a tabula rasa on this until this. You may have a lot of preconceptions about this issue. But we would ask to vote based on everything you've heard, not what side you were assigned to. Would you or would you not support 16-year-olds having the vote? So let's put that to you. How many of you would say, yes, I would support 16-year-olds having the right to vote? Let's see the hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, and how many would not?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Perfect.
Wow.
Where's Kamala when we need her?
Interesting.
It can't end. Yeah. It can't end any better than that. And, as Joanne is pointing out, take a look at this, if you can see it. So this actually was voted on in the House of Representatives on March 3rd, 2021. And it was defeated 302 to 120, 302 to 125. The New Jersey delegation split 6-6.
So your vote reflected what actually happened in the actual New Jersey delegation.
Right. And really, I think you can't have a better outcome than like an even split. We've got some issues, so we'll do book banning sometimes, and everybody, is opposed to it. All the students are opposed to it. It just doesn't create the kind of controversy that you want, and so I think part of it is to find an issue, and whether you use this one or something else, that can be reasonably disagreed upon by young people.
If you go on that pro and con website,
Yeah.
there are all kinds of issues. So
Right.
that's what we send to the schools in advance and say, if you don't like either book banning or lowering the voting age, pick one of the other issues, because you need something where you're going to have the materials, the pro-con arguments to be able to pass that.
Right. So the question now would be kind of a quick debrief with the students. Does this issue strike you as something that is important, would be important, should be important to young people? Is this something that you feel like, yeah, I care about this issue? What do you think that they would answer?
The only thing I would tell you is that whatever the issues are have to be vetted by the school. The school has to agree. It's not up to us to choose, okay? It's not up to us to choose. But to send you know, we make suggestions, like, you know, we can do book banning and lowering the voting age, for example. We have all the materials and everything ready on that. Or if not, go to that pro-con website and choose enough. There's immigration, there's gun control, there's tons of issues.
Right.
But let the school be the arbiter of it.
Presenters given what the school has chosen before we show up?
Absolutely.
I mean, you have, I mean, so how does it work? You contact the schools, give them their choices?
We tell them. We contact the school, we give them the access to the website, or I suggest, you know, the two that we have that we've used in the past are these two, book banning and lowering the voting age. If you don't want those, here's the website, choose the other ones. Whatever you choose, just tell me, but you have to be responsible for printing out then the materials to be handed out in the class. The school is responsible. They have the mega copy machines that we don't. So, yeah. So they present, and they also know how many students they're going to, we don't know how many students, how many copies we need, so they're responsible.
Just to clarify, it's not the presenter that's talking, that's the in-between, go-between the schools. It's our designated people that are doing the scheduling.
It's, this is a good question.
Maybe Susan question.
Yes, that's a good question. You know what? Why don't we save all of that to the end? Let's get through the program, but remember that, because we need to step through the process of who's doing what, who's doing scheduling, who's, you know, managing the presenters, who's interfacing with the school. Let's save all that at the end, okay?
Up to this point, it's been the three of us, and so we were the
It's been pretty easy.
we were the communicators, but it may be that we can create another level of work for that. Yeah. I don't know if I need
Yeah, no, you do.
This is my second time seeing this presentation. And I think part of the message is the unfairness of only 40% or 45% of voters getting decide something on behalf of the, you know, of the whole country. So for the issue that we deal with, you know, something like gun control, where I'm guessing, you know, close to 100% of the students would all be on one side, and if only 40% of them end up voting, the unfairness doesn't really come through. So I think there's something to be said for an issue that, you know, there really might be a split in the student audience,
Right.
and they might, even though it might not be as immediate to them as, you know, gun control or the environment or whatever, but the unfairness of you know, less than half of them committing the entire group is more powerful. So it's not an easy choice.
Yeah, thanks, Harvey. And I think you'll experiment with other issues. I mean, we are so excited to have more people doing it than us, and we hope that there'll be a number of issues that you try, and we'll share with each other how that goes. I think that the idea of issues that really get us going and revved up are probably issues that the students are not going to have much division over. So I think that's the challenge. And I agree with you, Maggie, in terms of relevance to the kids, 100% is important. I think that idea of creating that the potential for like a 6-6 is great as well. So we'll play with more issues for sure. To Harvey's point, it's a great segue to let's vote on something really important that really matters. And if you've seen this before, so you've seen this, you'll know where this is going. But you know, play around. We're going to vote on cats versus dogs. And we want you to vote on what's the better pet, a cat or a dog, okay? So you want to talk about relevance and immediacy. Here we are, okay? So this is what we're going to vote on now. And I'm going to ask those of you that are able to, if you would stand. We're going to need everybody to stand up. We'll do the same thing with the kids. If any of you are not able, we'll work around it. Okay. And we need you to count off by fives. And I'll just point at you because these are one of these things, if you have any teaching experience, can take an entire class period. So, 1. Yeah, don't forget your number.
3, 4, 5, 1,
Yep.
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
Great.
4,
Oh, sorry. 4, 5. Okay, you guys are gonna play along too. Stay up. Okay. So we're gonna. So as you play to the kids with great sincerity, we really want to get your opinion and your vote on which is the better pet. So I'm going to count to 3, and when I count to 3, you're going to raise your hand. Open hand is for a dog, and a fist is for a cat. Okay, so dog, cat. And you're going to wait till I count to 3, and then you're going to hold it up, and you're going to keep it up here so we can see where you're at. Everybody understanding that? Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, up. Something I need to tell you. Just occurred to me that only 80% of people who are eligible to vote are actually registered to vote in this country. So a fifth of the people who are in fact eligible, a fifth of the people who are eligible to vote don't, because they're not registered. So I'm afraid that 20% of you are not going to be able to participate in this if we want to really be true to the national statistics. So ones, I'm going to ask you if you would please sit down. I apologize. Sorry about that. Okay. So now let's do it again. So everybody knows, count of 3, dog, cat. 1, 2, Well, you know, in the presidential elections, 60% of people vote. And that's actually high these days. So 60% of eligible voters vote. So we're going to lose another fifth of you. So I apologize. 2s, you're going to have to sit down in this. Sorry about that. So, you know, maybe this is the kind of thing that would be decided not in a presidential election, but according to who we elect to Congress. So maybe that's, you know, we'll think of it maybe like as a midterm election, and that's when you're voting now. Okay, so we'll try it again here. 1, 2, did I say midterm election? That's 40% turnout for a midterm election. So I'm sorry, 3s, you're going to have to sit down. Okay, now let's get our vote. Dog, cat. 1, 2, 3. And please keep them up. Partner, could you count them up here?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for dogs. 1,
5 for dogs.
2,
Oh,
5
no,
for
4.
dogs.
Sorry, you're right.
4 for dogs, 2 for cats.
Okay, thank you. Everybody sit down now. So there it is, we voted, and 2 to 1, this group preferred dogs to cats. That's really interesting. So then we would say to the kids, so what do you think of that? And the kids will say what? It's rigged. What will there be a reaction to it? I'll say, how do you feel about that? Do you feel good that we just got a good representative vote? Why not? Why not? What happened?
I like dogs better than cats, and I didn't get to have my say.
You didn't get to have your say. Ah. Anybody else? Okay, okay. Let's see if everybody votes what it would be. So count of 3 and you have to stand. 1, 2, 3. Dog or cat?
Dogs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 for dogs. Dogs, put your hands down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for cats.
Pretty close. It's pretty close. So sometimes it's representative. You can imagine that a lot of times it isn't. And so this idea of the importance of voting, right? The importance of voting. So let's just share with you, and again, I'm sorry that you can't see this, but this is a chart of New Jersey counties, and this was 2022, November 2022, and sorry, this is just hard for me to see here. So what it's showing for Essex County, oops, I'm sorry. for Essex County is that of the total number of registered voters, there are about 550,000 registered voters in Essex County, 180,000 ballots cast. And so that is 32%. So 32% of the registered voters in Essex County voted in the midterms in 2022. The state average, that's low. The state average is 47. And some counties are higher, some counties are lower. And then we would say, what do you think is the relationship between what we just did with cats and dogs and that chart, and what we're just seeing about how few people vote? And what would you imagine, what do you see as being the connection there? That's right. A small number of people are making decisions for everybody, and it may or may not be representative of what the will of that larger group would be. So the last information slide we would show here is, in case you think that one vote doesn't matter, or a small number of votes doesn't matter, so this is close elections. And without reading this all to you, these are, we all know that there's these elections have been decided by a handful of votes. There's one place where they drew straws. Right, this was in Virginia in 2017, House of Delegates, over 23,000 votes cast, ended in a tie. The winner, determined by pulling a name out of a bowl, was a Republican, giving Republicans control of the Virginia State House by a single seat. So there's a number of these here that are all by 5 votes, 6 votes, 4 votes, 3 votes. So the point being, and again, you'll spin this however you want to spin it in terms of your kind of commentary on this. Every vote counts massively, and even more so in terms of the power of a vote, given how few people are voting in the country these days. So that takes us, oh, good grief.
You did all my slides, but that's okay.
Donna,
You're
why
on
did
a
you
roll.
shut me up?
You're on a roll, that's
Oh
fine.
my God, that was
I
supposed to be
wanted
Donna's
permission.
gig. Donna.
We even said in advance, you do slides. But
I said, I always do dog cat, you do dog
It's
cat.
not a problem. It's not a problem. Good. You teed me up for the break.
You're a good woman. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
so now we're at, after we've gotten through all the voting, the debate and the voting exercise thing, now we get right to, are we going to be registering voters today? Yes, we are. So the students will have been asked in advance to have their driver's license with them in their phones. Sometimes they're not eligible. If they're 16, we tell them you're not eligible to register, but anyone 17 and older is eligible to register. They can use this QR code. They all want to do it on their phone to bring up the voter registration form. There's the QR code to find out if they're already registered. You can remind them that sometimes, if you've gotten your driver's license, you get automatically registered, so they may already be registered. So you take time to do that. We always bring hard copies also of voter registration forms in case, kids don't have their phones. So you can do that. So you want to make sure that you don't walk out of there without making sure that every kid is either ineligible to vote, too young, not a citizen, whatever, but if they are eligible, that they're registered. Well, oh no, sorry, okay, yeah, let's back up then to the very beginning. You're not going to be presenting this to 200 kids, okay? What we say is 42 max, 40 kids max. Because you have to be able to break them down into the debates, too. You can't have 100 kids on each side trying to do a debate, right? So, now, could we do it with 200 kids if we had 20 facilitators and could break down into groups of 20 kids into classrooms? Yeah, sure, we could do that. Do all the podium presentation to 200 kids and then have them break down to do debates. We could do that. We've not been asked to do that because, frankly, we don't have the manpower to be able to do that.
I don't think it's effective.
No, no, right, right, right. Yeah.
I actually have 2 questions.
Yeah, you should.
I have 2 questions. One is the sequence of the modules of the lesson plan.
Yes.
Have you ever tried switching up the sequence just to see what would happen?
Well, we basically switch it. We wind up switching it up each time. We haven't given it the same presentation the same way each time that we've done it, so.
think they're all really good, but it just got my brain working on how to kind of.
Yeah, I don't think we're too precious about the order of slides or whatever. You know, whatever you could.
Make it your own.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're covering the content. Yeah.
And my other question is, some high schools
Do block scheduling, which is a 75 to 90-minute period. So, but some schools don't, and some schools do both. So that's just another option.
That's why we have a 45-minute version and a 90-minute version. And that's one of the things when whoever's doing the scheduling, we need to. So if there are more logistics questions, why don't we wait till we get through the presentation, and then we're going to open it up and really talk about all the rest of this. I'll use this mic. Okay. Okay, so you've registered kids, any kids that haven't been registered, you've registered. You remind them to go, there is an app that they can put on their phones for all things related to elections from the Division of, New Jersey Division of Elections, and they can download the app. You walk through. We like to have this tailored for the high school that we're in. So this is an example. We were in Nutley the last time we did this, so we review for this year, the entire New Jersey State Legislature is up for election. If you're in Nutley, you're in State District 28. Here's your state senator. Here are your 2 state assembly people. These are the people who you're going to be voting on this year in 2023. Now, if I were in Newark, I would put up District 33. If I were in Montclair, I'd be putting up District 34. So this is something you want to make sure it's more meaningful if it's the actual district of the high school that you're in, okay? Then you walk them through a ballot, okay? This is what a ballot looks like. Goes from top to bottom. You have to read how many do you choose? Do you choose 1 Congresswoman, 3 state assembly people, or town council or municipal people? You can walk through the ballot. I can't see this from here, but you obviously, hopefully all know how to read a ballot. You walk through a ballot. This is also, we have sample ballots from every city or town in Essex County. So again, if you can use the one from the town, there'll be names of the people, they should be familiar with the names that are on the ballot. Then we show them what it's going to be like when you go in to vote. We have a video. Barry, I don't know. Can I click on this? Yeah. There's a video that we're going to show you. Yeah. From Essex County that shows you exactly how it works going into a voting booth.
Essex County has a new voter-marked paper balloting system with a verifiable paper trail for use in elections beginning in 2021. Most voters will enter the polling place, sign the poll book, and receive a voting authority slip, just as they have done in previous elections. They will also receive a marker, a pre-printed ballot, and a privacy sleeve. In addition to tables and privacy voting booths for filling out ballots by hand, there will be at least 1 ballot scanning device for each voting district. The ballot scanning device will also include an Americans with Disabilities Act compliant audio tactile device attached to headphones. Voters who require accessible voting should request this device to listen to audio detailing the contests and candidate names, and use the device to cast their vote, just as they have done in previous elections. You will be directed to a privacy voting booth where you may make your ballot selections. When you have completed your selections, please take the time to review your ballot and verify that you made the choices you intended to. You may notice that ink from the marker you used to mark the ballot has bled through to the other side of the paper. That is not a cause for concern. The ballot is designed so that bleed-through will not affect the scanner's ability to accurately record your vote. There is a place on the ballot at the bottom of each contest for write-in votes. Please clearly print the name of the candidate you wish to vote for in the space provided, and don't forget to fill in the oval next to it. Once you have completed marking your ballot and have verified your choices, place the ballot into the privacy sleeve provided and proceed to the ballot scanning device. Give your voting authority slip to the poll worker near the ballot scanning device. Then, insert your own ballot in any orientation into the scanner, using the privacy sleeve to protect the privacy of your vote. The scanner will read the ballot and deposit it into a secure internal compartment within the device. If you need assistance scanning your ballot, keep your ballot in the privacy sleeve and ask a poll worker for help. After you enter your ballot into the scanner, please wait until the device indicates the ballot has been accepted by displaying a ballot successfully cast message before leaving the polling place. Voters may view election results on the Essex County Clerk's website, www.essexclerk.com. Thank you for voting.
So that gives you an idea of what voting is going to be like. That also should answer any questions of concerns about security of our voting system, that there's a paper trail, all votes are stored, paper votes are stored in those machines. So unlike in the old days where you would just do it in a machine and the vote would go into the wind and who knows, So whatever concerns people may have about this new secure voting system, this is new in Essex County. So also, you should also be thinking about where can I get fact-based information about candidates running for office, because with the demise of local newspapers, it's sometimes difficult to get information. So we recommend a number of different avenues. The League of Women Voters actually has our own website called www.vote411.org, which we use all around the country. We try to collect information on all from every level of government, local, state, municipal, federal, and you can find out about candidates who respond to our questionnaires to provide information. You can certainly look at candidate websites. There are also a number of different sources there that I can't read right now. Good. The clicker, yeah. So, okay. So with that, we've come finally to the end of our afternoon together. So I have to ask you, having been through all of this, we go back now to the essential questions. Do you think now that voting can affect your life? Get a show of hands. Who's convinced? Excellent. And do you think your vote now really matters? Absolutely, great. Well, thank you so much. You've been a terrific audience, and we very much appreciate the opportunity. It's something, if you want to get involved, we encourage young people to get involved. There are many things that you can do. You can become a poll worker. You can volunteer to work a voter registration table like we have in the back. You can join the league. We work on candidate forums, voter education and access, other groups like ATNG, NAACP, all are nonpartisan groups that you can get involved in, so we encourage you to do that. So before you leave, we encourage you, please fill out this survey. We count on your feedback as we roll this out to other high schools to get how to improve it. So please take a moment now with your phones to scan the QR code and fill out the survey. So with that, Barry and I would like to leave you with a quote from Alice Walker to end up our afternoon together. And her quote is, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. You have the power, but only if you use it. So please vote." Thanks. Okay, so that was the presentation with a lot of ins and outs.
Before we get into logistics, just let me know if this is appropriate or not, but there were things about the presentation that I had questions about. And the other question, which I have, the other question is, how effective do you know this to be in its current state? So let me ask, so I have questions regarding the content, but I also want to know what you know about the effectiveness of the presentation as it stands.
So the effectiveness that we've had so far, we've done 4 or 5 at this point, in Newark, NJ Leap, Orange, and Nutley. And at the end of the program, nobody is, strong-armed to register. And every single person, I believe, if that was able to register, did register.
That's great.
So there's a very positive feedback from both the students and from the administrators.
Yeah.
So it's been a very well-received and I think, important thing.
Great.
Yeah.
Can I ask my
The
question?
real test is going to be whether those people vote.
Vote, yeah.
Right.
So that's-
That we won't be able to track. 'Cause-
That's almost a whole different thing, because no one's voting, it seems, so.
And you're not going to overcome everyone's
No.
skepticism in 45
No.
minutes, but at least you maybe get some people to think about
The
it.
signing up is the
Right.
best
That's about it.
indicator.
Right.
Can I just ask a couple questions about content? I think it's wonderful. I love the engagement, because I think that's how you learn, and that's how you remember things. It occurs to me that cats and dogs may not be as controversial and as consequential as an issue for teenagers, and that's what you're really trying to hone in on. Like, someone else is going to decide on an issue that matters to you. Dogs and cats may not matter. I mean, what matters is something like, from now on, you can only use Apple products or PC. There's something there that I think it feels like just an opportunity that can be even, improved upon, or if not, just do with it. The other thing that I think occurred to me as we go through as we go through like the process part of this, one opportunity to really make concrete like how and why your vote matters is what you know about the issues that are being discussed. These lawmakers are going to decide what. They don't have to be the ones, but it could be about abortion. It could be, I don't know about how to bring in controversy or not, but not even naming the content of why we have elected officials to begin with, because they, in fact, create laws, and some of the laws that have been decided in the last election. You can even do it, retrospectively.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because we deliberately cut out a little portion of this presentation, because this is the short version, not the 90-minute
Right.
version. And the portion that we cut out is a question that we start off with. What are the most important issues to you right now? And that's when we hear gun control, mental health for youth, et cetera, et cetera. And then we take them through what level of government
Does
is
what?
responsible for it.
Okay.
Okay, and then the answer is, depending on the issue, could be all levels of government, or it could be one specific level. So you've got to know, and then the only way to influence it is to vote.
Right.
Now, we do have that in the 90-minute version, but something, in 45 minutes, because I agree with
Do you think you're going to be doing the shorter one more than you're going to be doing the longer one?
But we haven't done the 45-minute one yet. You know what I mean? All of us, the ones that we've done have been the 90-minute version. So, but we have to have a 45-minute version, because we're not going to
Sure.
be able to get 90 minutes everywhere.
Okay.
You know.
And I have just two more
Yeah.
observations. One is, are we missing an opportunity to identify for them how important a block that they are? And just to identify them as part of between the ages of 18 and 25 even. What impact? What were they joining? Who are they? Why do they matter? It could be one sentence. And lastly, I would say you've just empowered them, given them all this great information, signed them up. They can be ambassadors, not with a list of things, here's what you could do next, but tonight, when you go home tonight, and your parents don't vote yet, here's some things that you can share with them, or a friend, or if you really want to make a difference with your age group, there's somebody not in this room today, your best friend who hasn't voted. How can we help you, become an ambassador?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
So much of this is a battle around time, and I think that what would be best as this develops is that as you take it on, you make it your own, we create more modules than we have right now, and then we customize it based on some pre-conversations with the department head or with the classroom teacher. There's more than we can do in 45 minutes. We've also been talking about a part two. I mean, it's really screaming for sort of a part two lesson. There's just, you can't get everything we ought to get in one 45-minute block.
This is a lot to cover in 45 minutes. And the debate could easily consume a third of that. Frumping around with the technology could consume a lot. So let me reiterate a thought that I think I sent in an email, that for the 45-minute version, that instead of a separate cat and dog or cake versus pie exercise, that the vote on the issue be where,
Yes.
you know, you sit down and I think since the vote is on an issue that matters, as someone else said, the unfairness of 40% deciding it for the group would be much more impactful than having the debate kind of unconnected from it, and you could
Yeah,
save
and
quite
I'm
a lot
thinking
of
about
time.
that, Harvey. I think you're right, and we might be able to kill two birds with one stone. You know, because they've just spent 15, 20 minutes studying, debating, arguing something, and then we ask them to vote, but then we move right on to something else, as opposed to staying with that issue and then doing the cat and dog exercise as part of that.
So do the debate prep, have them go through all the steps of the debate, but then do the cat-dog exercise in terms of their final vote. On where they
Yes.
stand on
Yeah,
the
Yes.
and maybe even cut one of those 4 steps out of the debate. That's,
Right.
you know, just from the standpoint of time.
Right.
And when you revisit your opening questions at the end, if there were time, it would be nice to hear from some of the students
Yes.
on that. And
100%.
and
100%.
it also occurred to me, like resources for more information and so on, could be a handout
Yes.
that consume
That's a good.
more time. And the presentation, kids aren't going to write it down anyway. So a handout with that stuff would free up even more time. But I think it's a great program.
And I think, you know, the more we do this, the more I realize the debate always has to be prepared in advance. It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
And they do it a lot more smoothly than you did. You know, just because they're sitting around a table and you've got a teacher and they're used to it, and still, it just takes up too much time. So I would say, you know, maybe that should just be part of the pitch, that if you're going to have us do this, unless it's the 2-hour block, you know, the 90-minute block, but it's not viable to do the 45-minute block and have debate prep. Yeah.
So I had 2 comments, and Bill, you just took one of them, which is I really think that the school teacher, whomever, has to buy in. Plus, that way you guarantee that there's more than just 45 minutes that's being talked about in terms of voting. The second point was, this is the second time I'm seeing this, and both times I was on the side in the debate that I did not agree with, and it's hard. So I think the students and I should know that I'm going to get a chance to vote at the end of this, no matter how I feel. This is a learning part, learning the issues of, you know, who I'm going to vote for in the election, learning the issues of who I'm going to vote, which side I want to vote for on this topic, whatever it is.
Good. That's good. Okay. Great.
So I wanted to go through, everybody got a handout. I know most of you are here to become a presenter. So this is the first step, watching a mock presentation. And then the second step is actually being an observer at a live event, because with students it's a very different situation, obviously, than with a bunch of adults as we are. The next one is actually April 4th at NJ Leap in Newark, if anybody's interested. We already have, I think, like 4 observers, but I think we can handle more. So let me know if you're interested or able. It's from 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening. And then the third step would be to co-lead. So Barry, I don't know if one was designated co-lead or not, but the lead presenter, there's always going to be a lead presenter for every event. And that lead presenter will then work with the co-leads and the observers to make sure coordinating everything with the high school, with the teacher. So that's really kind of the person to go to. And they can switch it up however you want. Like you say, okay, I'm comfortable doing the dog-cat thing, or I'm comfortable doing the debate thing, and like, kind of seeping in like that as a training mechanism. And then after you co-lead, the lead presenter will give presenter the feedback. Like this is, and it's a group effort, 'cause there'll be a download for the whole team that's there. What's working, what's not, what did you feel comfortable with, what not. So you get feedback with that. And if you're comfortable and the lead presenter feels like you're comfortable and able to do it, then you would become a lead presenter. And then you can go on your own and then train new co-leads and work with observers. So this is a process. I know some people may feel comfortable doing it right away. Some other people might want to watch more mocks or more live presentations, whatever you need to do. No one's throwing you into doing something that you're not comfortable with. It's a very supportive environment. And there is, the way the process works is we have kind of the folks who are, these are the two lead presenters at this point in time. We have content creation folks that are helping with the process. We have what we call presenter facilitators or presenter managers. That's Nicole Prasad and Brittany Claybrook. So Nicole in particular is really scheduling and will be in contact with you all as to when the opportunities come up. She'll first tag a lead presenter, and then from there, find co-leads and observers. So she's really the point person for that. So I did there's so many moving pieces. I did this earlier this week, between coordinating with the high school, coordinating with the presenter. Everybody's kind of in a different stage. So the first on the left-hand side of the page, it starts with the schedulers. So there's also a scheduler team. That's Joyce Harley and Shelley Harris. And they're kind of getting going as well. We have 4 or 5 schools that are in the process for April and May. But they are also, continue to work with the high schools. So that first kind of like block, it's all about the schedulers, which I don't think Jane said she might be interested in scheduling, but I think most people are presenters at this point. But to work with them, reach out to the high schools, get dates, coordinate with Shelley and Joyce. There's different things I don't have to walk through this whole form. And then Shelley and Joyce will work with Nicole Prasad, who's dealing with the presenters, and tag, the team for that event. And then the lead presenters, you can see the second 2 blocks, it's all on the lead presenters to coordinate with the school, to coordinate with the team. So until you're a lead presenter, once you're a lead presenter, we can sit down and kind of talk through the steps. But as a co-lead, everybody here is either in the observer or co-lead, stage, so don't want to waste folks' time. Does anybody have any questions about that? And then at the end, we did get a grant, a $500 grant from the League National. So there's no free lunch. So they have asked us, the third sheet is actually something for the lead presenter to complete. So most of this relates to the grant and how many hours, how many people got registered. So those are things that we have to fill, and fill out and give back to the national, LWV National. And then just also like what worked well, what worked poorly. So, but yeah, so we're trying to streamline it because there are a lot of, moving pieces. And if anybody has feedback on that as well, more than willing to be part of that too.
There were, I think, 5 organizations on the first slide that were involved. Do they have any programs similar to this? And I'm presuming no. Would there be grant opportunities from those organizations in addition to the 500 from the National League?
Yeah, so we're doing this as a collaboration with the NAACP, both with the Oranges and also Montclair. We're doing it with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, with the AKAs, Montclair Women's Club, and Succeed Together. So at this point, we really don't have a lot of expenses, but that's a great idea to get other things. And they don't have their own programs. We're kind of working, this is not a league program. It's really everybody's working together on it.
Yeah.
It just started with the league, and that's kind of, everybody's, along. Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, maybe we buy some equipment, like cables, our own LCD projector,
So we become
Yes.
self-sufficient. you
That's
know?
a
If we
great
get
idea.
grant, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is it allowed, or is it something we already do, that we get the email addresses of the students and send out a reminder when it is time to vote? Or if we got their consent,
Have
we
we ever
might.
talked about that with the?
Yeah, just my experience as a principal, the privacy.
But if you had a waiver or something for them to sign,
Not
would
sure.
you be interested? Like, in other words, would you be interested to opt in, and the league would send you, like, you know?
Because they're under 18, probably they can't even.
Maybe the.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's an interesting question to figure out how can we make some connections with kids.
But we could get a commitment from the teachers to follow up in June and
100%.
November. So that's the focus of their class that day.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to mention a couple things. So Susan had mentioned about content creation. I just want to mention where some invitations we've had to expand this. And Joanne and I are launching this kind of content creation committee, and I think some folks have signed up to be part of it. If you haven't and you're interested, please let Susan know. But just to give you an example of where schools want to go that have had this, seen this first round. So Nutley has asked about developing a train-the-trainer model with their students because they have like 400 seniors that they wanted to get. And we've got just 3 or 4 of us, but it makes perfect sense, and it's even a better outcome to empower the kids to own this and present to their peers. So they're very excited about working on that. They want to wait till the fall to actually have us come in, work. We did a presentation to their AP US history kids, and those are juniors. They'll be back next year, and they want to identify as kind of a small group of those kids that would be interested and skilled to be trained and present. So that's, I think, a really exciting option. LEAP, New Jersey LEAP, which is the New Jersey Legal Education and Empowerment Program. So it's a 4-year high school program in Newark, all around legal studies and legal internships with kids in the Newark public schools. We started by doing this presentation with them virtually. We're now going to be going to them in person. They are starting this summer 7th grade civics program that they would like us to come in and contribute whatever we can contribute. They're really wide open, and I think they'd even like us to partner with them in creating a civic empowerment program for 7th graders. And I think they don't even really know where they want to go with it, but they would like our input. So that's another really exciting possibility. And the last thing is that the Nutley social studies director wrote and said that there's the New Jersey Social Studies Teachers Conference in October, and really would like us to submit a proposal, which I think is due at the end of June. And that's the way to get into schools. I mean, if we had a presentation that was well received, and you've got teachers leaving and going back to their schools and saying, I want this in my school, that's the ball of wax right there. So a lot of opportunities to expand this, and that does even include taking this lesson, continuing to develop it and tweak it and expand it. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, let Susan know. Obviously, it's time for me to stop talking.
Chris Perkins, radar screen.
No. Yeah, no, we have a good relationship with Chris. But no, we haven't talked to him about why voting matters.
When this is really honed, invite him to sit in on one of the classes. And invite him to sit. Yeah, I mean, you go where the money is.
So, for practical reasons, how do we get the content information that that is being presented? Is it picked up somewhere? Is it?
So we have.
What are the logistics?
Sure. We have a lesson plan. I'm not a teacher, but we have a lesson plan that is.
Are you talking about the PowerPoint slides? Yeah. Okay.
You want to stand here?
What we had was, once you are signed up to be a co-presenter, let's say, we'll send you the PowerPoint deck and you'll meet with a lead presenter. The PowerPoint deck has speaker's notes on it. Each slide has the notes on it, the script, if you will. So you'll meet with the lead presenter to go, like a dress rehearsal in advance, to talk about which slides people are going to do, who's going to do which slides, and then walk through the slides and make sure that you feel whatever slides you're presenting that you feel comfortable doing. We don't want to have this PowerPoint floating out everywhere, because, as you've seen, we customize it each time we do it. The deck has to be customized to put in, what are the state district legislators, what is the sample ballot, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't send it to the school in advance. We have an outline that we send to the school so that the teacher knows exactly what we're presenting.
And so then what do we need? Do we need to have a laptop? Do we need to put it on our phone? Do we?
No, if you're a lead presenter, you will have to have the deck, yes. Then you usually will send it to the teacher in advance. The teacher will also have it.
Do you send that to our computer or our phone?
I will send it to you via email.
Oh, okay.
Via email. And it's a PowerPoint slide that you download, and then you can do with it as you want. Keep it on your laptop or whatever. I think we're going to encourage people not to use your own equipment, because you see, what happens, but make the school responsible. And they're also set up to do AV. And we have no idea are we going into a library, an auditorium, a classroom. So you tell the teacher what the AV requirements are. You need a laptop, a clicker, sound system, if there is going to be a sound system. You're going to be showing an embedded video. You go through all that with the teacher, and then you just show up the day of.
And then you said you had hard copies of certain things. Where do we get those?
The pro-con sheets, the sheets that you use to prepare for the debate, those we'll also send you, the link to the website so that you can have your own, depending on what the issue is, you'll have your own copies of that. You should have your own copies of that. The school will have made hard copies for all the kids in advance. See, this is part of the logistics. So, yeah, I would suggest if you were presenting, everybody does their own presenting style. I mean, Barry doesn't use handouts. I like to use with my talking points there in a deck that I'm walking through. But the key thing is that the handouts will be there in advance. The teacher has the slides. You also have the slides. I always bring we always bring our laptop just in case, like today.
So the
You gotta have
places
it.
that you've presented already, they had that material already for you?
Yes.
And they were.
Yes. They had the packets ready to go to hand out. But that's what you have to communicate. That's why you need a lead presenter being responsible for communicating with the school on what they have to do for you to show up.
I mean, most typically, you're going to send them the PowerPoint, they're going to load it onto their own laptop that they've
Right.
got. They've got the remote, you just walk in, they'll hand you the remote. And there it
Right.
is.
Right. Sometimes, though, there is no clicker, so the teacher has to be the one advancing the slides, so you have to say, next, or whatever, You have to be a little bit flexible, yeah. Any other? But it's simple. I mean, it may not seem simple, but it is relatively straightforward once you understand the key points that we're trying to make. And it's fun. The kids have been very attentive.
I think also when you contact the schools, there are children in those classes with special needs, hearing impaired kids, visually. I think you should find out from the school what accommodations will be. They might have a real-time caption person come if there's a hearing impaired kid. They may have special microphones.
We have not asked about that. We've assumed that if there are needs, that the school would take care of them. Yeah.
But the person you may be communicating with
May
doesn't
not
know that they're in.
Right. But again, you're talking, for the 45-minute version, we're talking about 20 kids. Okay? We're not talking 100 kids.
Right, but there may be.
But you're right. But I just want you to get a sense of, this isn't like you talking to a big, huge auditorium of hundreds of kids.
I mean, and some of the schools don't have
Right.
children with, but
Newark has a school for the hearing.
No, it is a good question. Absolutely. And we wanted to talk to those kids too.
And
we
those
can.
kids are probably the least informed of
The
any.
least registered, right. Did you have a question? No? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, I think if you're interested in coming just to do the voter registration piece for one of these presentations, that you should be on the list to see the schedules of schools and the dates. And then you can see all the dates that are being scheduled, and then you can volunteer to Nicole, I want to come and be an observer, meaning you're going to do the voter registration.
I see, okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much. I hope I see you on the road with Barry and me doing some presentations.
Do it.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.